nobody knows what's in it. Some say money. Some say body. Some say it's booby trap, and we're going to open it. What secret lies inside? It may be
ML Elrich's
biggest secret, and we'll open it on live
podcasting.
Step inside the vault with me on April 21st.
Discover the mystery only on
The Detroit. You asked interrogative questions out of my face. It's gone.
What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Albert?
Hey kids, it's your old pal ML Elrich coming to you from the underground bunker where the Red Shovel Network will be safe in case of a nuclear blast, and that's a good thing because not a nuclear blast wouldn't be a good thing. Let me be perfectly clear. It would be good if we could exist for another hour and a half or so because we have a tremendous show lined up for you today. We have a special guest. Sean Windsor, who just joined us 3 seconds ago.
I can't hear you. Something's over your mouth.
Okay, kill Sean's mic. So then it's the ring of truth that you're hearing. It's probably deafening you. And real quickly, I want to go through the crew. We've got, of course, Mark Fellhauer, Matt Jennings.
Did you forget everybody?
Joe Zuver. And special guest Darren Nichols will be joining us to help us get some great information out of our very special guest, Michigan's Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, who should be joining us any minute to answer some questions about essentially how can your vote be counted? How can we be sure that the election results are accurate? And what contingencies the Secretary of State and other clerks are taking to make sure that when you take the trouble to vote, your vote is counted. Again, I want to stress, I don't care how you vote. I just care that you vote because America is supposed to represent all views. But if you sit at home, let me just tell you one other thing about sitting at home. Do not ever come up to me and bitch about anything. Your ticket to tear my ear up with your bullshit is your ballot. So if you're not willing to vote, do not complain. I'm sorry. You're not.
I kind of want to disagree with that really quickly.
Oh, shh.
Why? Because he's the only one that can complain.
What if you don't like any of the candidates?
Why is Sean's mic on? I thought you had to be here at least 1 minute before the show starts to participate.
My only point being is choosing not to vote is also a statement, too, if you don't like the candidates. Just saying.
This is like Dune. The power to deny a thing is the power to control a thing. It's thank Leto Atreides. Was that? No, that's Paul Atreides, I think. Never mind.
Whatever you say.
Duke Leto.
Exactly. That's the motto.
I love Duke Leto. So anyways, we're expecting Jocelyn Benson to join us any minute. Before she does, I want to tell you about one of the people who make this show possible. That's Sir Speedy Printing. If you own or work at a company that needs marketing materials, then listen up. Sir Speedy Printing is a sponsor, and they have offices in Harper Woods, Troy, and Novi. Whatever you need when it comes to marketing materials, Sir Speedy has you covered. Brochures, signage, direct mail campaigns, promotional products. And let me just tell you something. When you go to the store and you see those pretty sharp graphics that say stay 6 feet away or go this way or don't go that way or what the new hours are, a lot of businesses are changing how they do their business. Sir Speedy, they're the ones who make those graphics. So signage and floor graphics are hot new items with businesses starting to reopen. Direct mail campaigns can let your clients or bring in some new clients, let you know what you're up to, let them know what you're up to, the current state of business, temperature, temporary hours, safety precautions, etc. They can all be prepared for you by Sir Speedy. Basically, you name it and Sir Speedy can do it. They have a full creative staff that can help you design whatever you need. So give them a call at 586-777-7500. That's 586-777-7500 or visit their website, sirspeedydetroit.com. Let them know that ML Solar Detroit sent you and get your marketing project going today. One thing Sir Speedy can't do or should not do is make copies of your ballot. And I'm only saying that so that our special guest Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, doesn't have to tell you they're only going to count one vote for every voter. So no worries about that. Isn't that right, Madam Secretary?
Yep. One person, one vote. That's the rule.
That's and I don't want to steal any of your thunder here, but we have told people we don't care how you vote. We just care that you vote. And we're grateful you can join us to tell people how they can vote, not how to vote, but how they can vote. So thanks for making the time to be with us this morning.
Always a pleasure. And yes, that's exactly our goal as well, to ensure that people have the resources and tools they need to cast their vote however they choose to cast it.
Well, we have a lot of tools on this show. I'm not sure we need them all, but they have some questions. So we're gonna have a few people poking away at this issue. But I just want to start off, if I may, by asking if you can help me figure out who all these people are who are sending me things. I recognize this Johnson Benson character. That's an elected official, and this Janice M. Winfrey. I've heard her name before. But the Center for Voter Information, the Voter Participation Center, these all look very official. They all look very governmental. And these are just some of the things I've been sent. What are they, and what should I be doing with these?
Well, yes, you will, and voters will continue to get a lot of stuff in the mail over the next few weeks. That some from our office, some from organizations that are designed to, for the most part, well-intentioned, and they're well-intentioned. They want to help you exercise your options to vote this year. But that said, when you all you really need is actually quite simple, is to know three things with regards to voting. One, you can have your ballot mailed to you, and then you can return it through the mail at a local drop box or at your clerk's office. Number two, you can pick your ballot up at your clerk's office, and then you can return it to your clerk directly through a drop box or through the mail, or you can vote in person at your precinct on election day. So everything that you're going to get is designed to basically kind of hone in on those three options that you've got. And notably, you don't have to submit all of that applications. If an organization sends you an application, that's probably just because you're on a mailing list, and they're sending a lot of these out so that voters have information on how to request to vote by mail if that's their choice. But a lot of these, if not all of them, are unsolicited, and they're private entities that send these information out, mostly with the goal of educating voters. But of course, if you get anything that seems strange or have any questions about things or just seems off to you, send it to us. We actually have set up a website, michigan.gov/election security, and an email, misinformation@michigan.gov, where you can send us information that you get for us to answer quickly to you what is real and what is not.
So if I fill one of these out, for the most part, they're legit. This one, it says Putin for Trump, and this one, it says Ukrainians for Hunter Biden. Those are not, don't just ignore those?
I would ignore those or anything that has any type of foreign government listed in it. Probably, but send it to us. If I know you're, these may not be real, but if anyone does get anything like that, send it. Take a picture and send it to misinformation@michigan.gov, because if there may be some malfeasance happening, and if that's the case, we want to get to the bottom of that and hold bad actors accountable.
But because of all that different mail that, say, ML is getting, or I know people that are getting applications with the name that lived in that house years ago, you understand why people feel like this isn't on the up and up, because it maybe intuitively doesn't feel that way?
Yeah. And I think, one of the things with regards to our mailings and the qualified voter file is there had not been a mailing to every person in that file for over 10 years when I took office. And that's typically how states update their file. They'll do a mailing, and when things bounce back, they have that first indicator that under the law, this person might have moved, or an indication, I should say, if not the first, that person might have moved, and that can become grounds for removing them from the file. We have also signed up to partner with a national coalition of 40 states now called ERIC, the Electronic Registration Information Center. That now enables us to find information when people move or pass away, or if they move to another state. So the art, it really is an art of updating our qualified voter file, is something that takes vigilance, and it's something that our office has really tried to hone in on. But we know, in cases like this, when there's a mailing of applications, all of which are simply just, voter education tools, and they arrive at homes that, are on our qualified voter file, but perhaps, should have been removed or now can be removed. We encourage voters to let us know about that so that we can update our files appropriately, and thereby use that mailing or any mailing our office does now as to further a secondary goal of updating the list with more accurate information that voters can provide us.
Madam Secretary, what would you say to people who believe that the only reason we're being inundated with these invitations to get absentee ballots, to vote remotely or vote early, is because Donald Trump is on the ballot?
wouldn't agree with that. Now, some organizations may have that motivation, but I know, and I guess I don't want to speak to everyone's motive in sending out mailings this year. But in my view, we're in this historic moment with the global pandemic, and this is the first time citizens will in Michigan have that right to vote by mail statewide in the midst of a presidential election. And so I do believe there is a need to educate voters about that right, because it's the first time many of them may be voting by mail. It's certainly the first time our state has had this right that people can vote by mail without a reason. And there is also so much in the news these days about that very issue of voting by mail that I think that leads to a lot of well-intended education organizations to try to send educational information to citizens. And of course, when you get the 527s or the PACs, the super PACs sending out information or campaigns, you should always, I would say, treat that with a little dose of suspicion, because they may have hidden agendas.
And I will say I'm getting an equal number of texts urging me to vote for Joe Biden, but also for all the talk we've heard out of Washington about you can't trust absentee voting, you can't vote by mail, you can't do anything. Here's a text I got on Friday. Urgent, your absent voter ballot application is on the way to you. Get ready to vote Republican. We need you. Click here. So I think the notion that it's just one party that's trying to get you to vote early or remotely is based on the texts that are coming to me unsolicited is fallacious.
Or maybe you're on a bunch of lists, and I'm getting a lot of texts like that as well. And sometimes I respond and say, I'm the Secretary of State. I can't endorse a candidate, or they ask me to help a candidate, and I'll just sort of play along and say I can't and let them know who I am. But I think I've ended up on some of those lists too. So I see some of those texts folks are getting, and a lot of it I would take. Some of it may be legitimate, some of it may not be. We always want to also caution against people against clicking on links from people they don't know, because it also can lead to types of ransomware and things like that. So we want to be mindful of that too. But fortunately, Michigan citizens don't have to go to lots of different websites or even consult with lots of different groups or campaigns in order to figure out how to vote this year. You can simply go to michigan.gov/vote, get all the information you need right there about how to register, confirm your registration. You can get an application to vote by mail right then and there. You can find out the address of your local clerk's office if you want to get your ballot there. You can get a list of all the Dropbox locations in your community to find out if you want to drop your ballot off there, where to do that. You can get your precinct location. Everything you need to know to vote is at michigan.gov/vote. And everything you need to know to confirm the security of your vote is at michigan.gov/election security. So I think if you've got those two websites, you're squared away. And then as an additional thing, contact your local clerk with specific questions. That's really all you need to get the information you need to know in order to cast your ballot.
So the narrative is out there that mail-in ballots or absentee ballots benefit the Democrats. Have you seen, or do you have any early returns as to say what percentage of people that asked for the ballot are Democrats or registered Democrats versus registered Republicans?
We don't, because we don't track that data. We don't, in some states, when you register to vote, you issue a party affiliation. We don't have that in Michigan. What we do know is that an extraordinary number of people from every community in the state are requesting to vote by mail. 2.5 million citizens have requested to have their ballots mailed to them this year. And you can see a breakdown of how that's spread over all communities at michigan.gov/SOS, my website, or michigan.gov/vote. But certainly, what we're seeing is that a lot of people want to vote this year. We're anticipating record high turnout, and a lot of people want to vote by mail. And I haven't seen any data to indicate that that's skewed to one party or the other. And I think, reflective of the fact that 70% of voters amended our Constitution in 2018 to create this right, folks from both parties participating in that vote. I think that reflects also that, this is people from both sides of the spectrum recognize the simple convenience that it may be for them to get their ballot sent to them. And that's why we're seeing the uptick. And I don't see any indication that that benefits one party or the other.
So my wife, unsolicited, sent me a text yesterday. She said, when are we getting our ballots? And I said, I'll ask the Secretary of State. I think she thought I was going to go on the website. I said, no, I'll ask the actual Secretary of State.
Look it up for you right now.
Because I know Darren has gotten his. I know Zeus has gotten his. When should people expect to have all their ballots?
Well, ballots were finalized and began being sent out on Thursday of last week, the September 24th. So you can go to michigan.gov/vote and enter your voter information, and it will tell you whether you have your ballot request has been received, whether your ballot's been sent, and then once you return your ballot, it will confirm that your ballot's been received back by your clerk, just like you would track a package. So that's what I'm doing. I've requested my ballot, and I still haven't received it.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Checking just to see when mine's going to be sent. It hasn't, I don't think, been sent yet, but we know that of the 2.5 million ballots that have been requested, just over 2 million have been sent out. So clerks are rapidly working through the rest of that 500,000 to get through the list and make sure everyone gets their ballots.
Madam Secretary,
yes,
I'm interested in what happens in Detroit. I was just wondering when or why was that decision made? How it came about, and what people can expect with the arrangement with the clerk in Detroit?
So we have a partnership in the city of Detroit now that, I'll step back and say, after the August primary, and as we looked at the data about really historic amount of people voting in the city, historic numbers of people voting by mail, there are a lot of cities like Detroit and frankly other communities around the state that we talked to that simply didn't have the resources on their own to meet all of these needs of record numbers of absentee ballots, record numbers of having to turn those ballot requests around quite quickly. And so in particular, because Detroit is our largest jurisdiction, I felt it was important for us to really lean in there and provide more resources, particularly more people and better training for those people to help meet the needs of the community in this election. So as part of that partnership, we're opening up 21 satellite clerk's offices throughout the city. Those are opening up right now and should be fully open on Monday of next week. And as they open around the city, you can actually get a list of them. They're already posted at the Detroit, Michigan website, and they'll be on ours as well. And you will also find drop boxes at those satellite locations where you can drop off your ballot. And there will be over 35 drop boxes all throughout the city. These are simply increasing the amount of ways in which people can get access to their ballots, register to vote, or return their ballots. And you can do all three of those things: register to vote, get your ballot, and return your ballot at those satellite clerk's offices all around the city. We also are, again, helping to recruit thousands of new election workers, including 2,000 new workers that will be at TCF Center processing and tabulating absentee ballots. Typically, Detroit handles maybe 50,000 absentee ballots. This year, it may be 200,000. And so we need to dramatically increase the number of people doing that work. And also, we're splitting the shifts. So you've seen past years, there have been problems because essentially people get tired. They've been working 20 hours or more processing all of these ballots. And sometimes, human error happens when that occurs. People put the ballots in the wrong pile, which is essentially what leads to the bookkeeping errors that you saw covered in the State Board of Canvassers and in many press announcements following the August primary. So we can solve for that by creating shifts, 8 to 10 hour shifts, so that people know exactly when they start, exactly when they stop, and they don't get overtired, which can lead to the type of problems we've seen in the past. So that's some of the more granular things that we're doing. But as a Detroit resident, as a Detroit voter, it's really important to me that we get this right. And I'm grateful for our partnership with the city of Detroit and the county of Wayne County, who've also been really helpful at offering resources and support for the city right now.
Madam Secretary, we have a lot of ground to cover, and I know your time is in demand. I'm wondering if we could go through a quick speed round and just cover some topics.
I'll do my best. I used to be a professor, so I talk a lot.
No, that's all right. This is a show that does not want people to be cursory or to be I don't do talk. I don't brief. Do
what are they called?
Sound bites.
I'm really not good at sound bites.
Neither is ML.
Even when you say you don't do sound bites, it's not a sound bite. So no, that's fine. I just want to be mindful of your time. But some of these questions are I think are pretty quick ones. When can people vote?
Right now, you can go to your clerk's office and get your ballot and return it. And you can return your ballots up until 8 p.m. on Election Day. And of course, on Election Day itself, that's basically your last day to vote. And at that day, you also can go to your local precinct and vote there if you haven't already voted.
And can you get an absentee ballot and then decide to vote in person?
Yes. Once you get your absentee ballot, even if you've returned it, you can request that your clerk spoil it and not count it and get a new ballot, or vote, in person on election day if you've already canceled your past ballot. So every vote in our voter file, every voter has one file, and that documents whether they've been sent a ballot, whether it's been returned. If they request, again, that return ballot to be spoiled and get a new one, that's recorded in there too. And that's how we make sure that everyone just gets one vote, but that they have all those alternatives to make sure it's the vote they want.
Okay. Can someone drop off my absentee ballot for me? And can someone drop off multiple absentee ballots?
We're working through regulations on that. I encourage, as a best practice, everyone to return their own ballot or have a trusted family member do it. There are ways that you can get rides to drop boxes and things like that, but I recommend that people return their ballots themselves or get a trusted family member to do it.
Okay, and if I'm applying, this is mainly thinking of kids at college. So Mark had a question for his wife. This is for one of my daughters. If you're applying for an absentee ballot, can you have it sent to an address other than your registered voter address?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
How's that?
That was perfect. And last one from the speed round for me. I was going to ask, why is Detroit always a mess? But that doesn't feel like a speed round question. Maybe Darren will want to drill down on that one. But if I go to pick up an absentee ballot, or I send in an absentee ballot, and it's been, in my case, 20 years since I registered to vote in Detroit, my signature has changed. In fact, now I think I just signed my initials. Is there a chance that the person evaluating that ballot will say, this does not look like the same signature, I'm tossing it out? And how do I find out whether that's happened?
Well, there is a chance that they may not find your signature match. I would look at the signature on your driver's license, which is likely the same signature on your voter registration form, because everything's in one data file, and match your signature to that. But clerks are also required to notify voters now under the new legislation passed last week, and hopefully that will be signed into the governor this week. Clerks will be required to notify citizens if they're missing a signature or their signature doesn't match. And that helps us address exactly your situation and also identify irregularities if they occur.
So there's a lot of fear that maybe one candidate in any election would win on election night, but then when all the votes are counted, it might flip. How do you avoid that? And how do you avoid people misinterpreting, say, ineptitude with downright fraud?
Yeah. On the first point, I think, no one wins an election until every ballot is counted, period. So, candidates are welcome to try to spin whatever they want to try to look good in any particular circumstance. But the bottom line is we're going to count every vote. And when those votes are counted, we'll announce the winner. And we're going to work very hard and closely with news media to make sure that we're all in sync and recognizing that democracy requires votes be counted, and the majority of every vote, once it's counted, is what declares the winner. Secondly, with regards to, there is always this question of, what's, simple human error, what's fraud, what's intentional, what's unintentional, particularly when you have so many new rules. What I will say is where we identify irregularities, we recommend to the Attorney General if they're significant and if they seem to be particularly evidence of malfeasance. We recommend that to the Attorney General, and their office has been quite vigilant, working with the Michigan State Police to investigate any allegations of fraud that are credible and make sure that we do hold people accountable if they do intentionally try to disrupt the system.
Other states like Colorado and Oregon have been doing this for a while. They seem to have it down pretty good. They can count ballots the second they get them. What is the setup for our state? Can you start counting ballots when you get them?
No, under state law, ballots don't start to be counted until 7 a.m. on election day, which is why you'll see a delay in results this year. Because if we've got 3 million or more ballots to get through in the state, and we can't start tabulating them, or in many cases even opening those envelopes until 7 a.m. on election day, it's just not possible to get it all done in 12 hours. It may take another 12 hours the next day or a third day as well. We're prioritizing security and accuracy. We'd rather have an accurate, full and complete count as soon as possible, but we want to be methodical in how we do that to ensure that we're getting people information they need. And we're going to be transparent about that entire process as we go. I'll be spending a lot of time until every vote is counted with our absentee counting boards to ensure that we are communicating effectively where we are in the process. But it's a little bit, remember, Colorado and Oregon, they've been doing this for a long time. Their state legislatures have updated their laws effectively to really match these these counting and tabulation needs. We're not there yet in Michigan with our legislation. We've gotten some progress, but not enough.
I think that's why people have a problem with it, because they feel like, oh, this seems to be very rushed, and how too convenient with the Donald Trump election. Why not just wait until, say, everything's clear, the rolls are clear, and we got a good format for counting?
Because it's the law. I mean, voters voted in 2018 to amend our state constitution to give every citizen the right to vote by mail. That's why we're doing this now. And I know it certainly, within the midst of a pandemic, created a greater sense of urgency and interest among this particular way of voting. But it has always been our work and our plan to implement it in full force this year. And I'm grateful that we've been able to, because it's turned out to be something quite popular and something a lot of voters want as an option.
Darren, we have just a couple minutes left with the secretary.
Yes.
Any questions before I hit her with the big showstopper?
Okay. I just wanted to know, how much more dubious will this election be given all of the massive absentee ballots that you expect to be in and all the other stuff that is going on?
Well, the good thing is we've got time tested based on what other states have been doing for decades. Their security practices that we're applying here. We've got protocols in place like the signature match, which requires everyone to sign the envelope in which their ballot is placed, and no ballot is counted unless that signature matches. Of course, we require clerks to follow up and try to make sure that signature matches, but certainly we want to protect the sanctity of the ballot and also protect the infrastructure we've built against the misinformation that's flowing into our state, trying to undermine the integrity or sow seeds of doubt, if nothing else, among our voters about the integrity of our vote. I'm very confident that our elections are secure and that on election day or shortly thereafter, we will be able to confidently announce results of the elections that will be an accurate reflection of the will of the people. What remains uncertain is the extent to which other political actors to further partisan goals will try to undermine or stymie those efforts with messaging that counters what is truth. But nevertheless, the truth will be on our side, and we'll work to get that out.
So, Madam Secretary, that is one of the things that I'm particularly concerned about. I remember 2000. In fact, I was at a union hall in Macomb County when at 8:00 everybody celebrated because Al Gore had been announced as our next president of the United States. I remember the concession speech, and then I remember before I went to bed about 5 a.m, Al Gore saying it's not over. This race has a feeling where we're going to have a lot of partisanship. We already have one candidate saying that he won't respect the results unless he wins. I'm not sure which one that is. He got kind of a crazy hairdo, quite expensive, as I understand, as well. But certainly he spent more on his hair than mine. I'm not sure who's getting a better value. But in terms of
come
people,
back to us.
Is there a question here?
Stay focused.
So this was the showstopper. Are you concerned at all that the ballot monitors or the inspectors, I don't know the right term, but they're in the counting room looking at things, that some people will come out of those sessions saying, hey, these were bad ballots, and the other side threw them out, where those people are going to try and undermine confidence in the results of this election by saying they witnessed fraud? How do you counter that?
With accuracy. I mean, we're going to have eyes on our own eyes, the eyes of our office, the eyes of the Attorney General's office, and our clerks on these places where absentee ballots are getting processed and tabulated to ensure that everything goes smoothly and everything is by the book. I've been doing that in every election this year. I've been visiting absentee counting boards. I'm familiar with the process, and I want to make sure it goes smoothly on election night. And we have provisions in place and protections in place to remove anyone who will, regardless of their intention, try to cause problems in those areas. And we want, again, the process to be transparent. We want people to have faith in the results, and we want to ensure that the ballots are counted effectively and accurately. But in my view, transparency is the best antiseptic to anyone trying to undermine the process and perhaps in secrecy. And so, for that reason, we'll be watching closely and monitoring the proceedings to make sure that they follow all our safety protocols and enable us to swiftly address things that may occur throughout the counting process.
So if there is a dispute between, say, a Republican observer and a Democratic observer as to whether or not a vote is cast for the right candidate, will those be reviewed? Is that something that a third party will then say, well, that's the way you see it? I mean, before we get to the Supreme Court, because I think we all remember how long that took.
Yeah. Well, potentially. I mean, we have protocols in place for people to review voters and challenge voters' eligibility, and those protocols are, quite clear on what's permitted and what's not, and what is, what is a valid challenge and what is not a valid challenge. So we'll be working to enforce those protections among our voters, both in the polling place as well as those processing and tabulating absentee ballots. And the bottom line is, look, we simply just want the results to be accurate, regardless of who wins any race in Michigan. I just want the will of the people to be heard. And so that's our motivation. And we, hope and expect everyone will share that motivation. And with that focus, we're going to work to, judiciously and expeditiously proceed with, any type of challenges like that to make sure that they follow the law, they're by the book, and that everything proceeds with an eye towards making sure every valid vote is counted.
Madam Secretary, I know you have to go. I have one last question. I apologize for this being the last question, but it's been suggested on this network and maybe elsewhere that you are a protege of Mayor Duggan because your husband at one time worked in the administration. And of course, Mayor Duggan is a longtime supporter of Vice President Biden and also has a proposal on the ballot in Detroit. Can you just briefly characterize your relationship with Mayor Duggan? I know you didn't work for Wayne County, so let's take that off the list off the top.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate speculation for what it can be. My mentor is Senator Carl Levin. That's when I was the dean at Wayne State Law School, who I brought in, who I taught a class with, who I seek to emulate. If I'm a protege of anyone, it's him, and he's the person who I call for advice. Senator Levin's the person I call when I'm dealing with things that seem problematic, because he has exemplified integrity throughout his entire career and exemplified putting country first over party in whenever that is at stake. And so, again, if you're going to say I'm a protege of anyone, it's of Senator Levin.
Well, if I may, before you go, I'd just like to share my experience with Secretary Benson before she was Secretary Benson, before she was the dean of the Wayne State Law School, when she was a member of the Detroit Ethics Board. And I will just tell anybody who cares to hear it that in my years of dealing with her, when I've asked her questions in which it called for the criticism of Democrats, and she is a Democrat with ambitions, she fearlessly stated her opinion, whether it would help or hurt her standing with fellow Democrats. And as far as a protege of Mayor Duggan, I've seen no evidence of that. And my experience with Secretary Benson is that she is someone of integrity who has spoken the truth, even when it may not have been in her best interest. So I guess we're going to let you go with, I'm going to blow you a kiss, but I'll just tell anybody, I'll tell anybody who's listening, and I think it speaks for itself that I kick ass, I don't kiss ass. So if I say something about somebody, it's something I believe in, and we appreciate your time.
Likewise, and I appreciate your integrity as well.
Whoa.
Well, I don't know about that, but it's great having you on the show.
Why'd you have to end on that? Now we're going to have to hear about that all day.
Well, one story leads to the next. Madam Secretary, thank you. We've kept you too long. We apologize to your next appointment, but thank you for your time, and we will include those links.
Pleasure, ML. All right, thanks. Take care, guys.
Take care.
See ya.
So if you missed that...
Oh, sorry, it's cracking one already. Do you want me to crack one?
No, please. There's always a good time for an Altus.
All guests appearing on ML Sola Detroit receive a 12-pack of Altus Lager.
Oh, he loves beer.
So for those of you, we covered a lot of ground. There was a lot more that we could have covered. We will have those links to Secretary reference, michigan.gov/vote, michigan.gov, I believe it was /election security. You can find those on our website, mlsoulofdetroit.com. In fact, we could have done a whole show just with Darren and talking about the problems we've had in Detroit having votes counted. So we hope to have Detroit Clerk Janice Winfrey on the show before the election. She said she will come on. So we hope to make that happen. We thought we'd have her on earlier, but she had a dental procedure that she had scheduled, and she figured going to the dentist and talking to us was more than anybody should have to put up with. Before we move on, I just want to say something about Secretary Benson. I don't endorse anybody, and I don't endorse her. She is a partisan. She's a politician. That is an elected office that is not like our city council or mayor that's nonpartisan. But I have dealt with her a lot over the years, and I've always found her to be somewhat fearless in expressing her opinion, which I'm grateful for, because there are lots of people, both Republicans and Democrats, who will tell you how they feel about something, and then you say, now will you put that on the record? And they're like, not on your life because they're always thinking about the next election. They're always thinking about the next opportunity. So I'm kind of breaking form here to share a little bit of my history with her, but I've always been impressed with her. In fact, while I haven't been very impressed with the Detroit Board of Ethics, which seems to be sort of a jumbo shrimp situation, but she was someone who always said what was on her mind, and to my mind, it seemed to be fair comment, maybe even at her own expense. So we're going to insist that facts matter on this show, and we're not just going to throw shit out there. Anything we talk about, we're going to have done some work on. I know there's some question as to whether or not the media is still out there working, whether there's still reporters on the job in Detroit. Well, I'm here to tell you that they are, and some of the time they spend is trying to debunk some baloney that's been put out there, and that's just, we're not going to have that. So anyways. Sorry about that. Sorry about the soapbox. I had to push Sean off it, but
I love how you brought the interview back to yourself again. That's awesome.
You know who's better than me, though?
Who?
That's not a rhetorical question. Oh. Do you have an answer? The butchery.
It would take forever to answer.
The butchery. They are the place to go for prime meats. That's the butchery on Orchard Lake Road, just west of Middle Belt. If you go in there and spend $50 or more, I hope Chef Dave is okay with this. They're going to give you a signed copy of the Kwame Sutra. So go in there, tell them that ML sent you, and they will give you a signed copy of the Kwame Sutra. If they don't, if I'm overstepping my bounds, tell Chef Dave to tell me to mail it to you. So we will get you that because we appreciate their sponsorship, folks. This is crunch time. We know how difficult this economy has been. We know how your budget has been stretched. And you know how hard it is to get advertisers during a pandemic. It's not easy in the best of times, but it's even trickier now. So we would really appreciate if you could support our sponsors. The reason why we do business with them is because we think that they are quality places. Sir Speedy, we need you to call them and at least get a quote. Tell them I sent you. The butchery. Make sure you go in there. Mark just went in there.
Yeah. And next door to the butchery, he has his little pop-up store, which has been obviously hurt by COVID because you can't do that stuff, where he does lessons and, cooking classes and stuff. So
I think they sell Altus in there too, as a matter of fact.
They do. I'm not just saying this because he's an advertiser. It's a cool little shop. Oh, and he sent this. I forgot. He sent a cherry pie. So.
Oh, nice.
Go ahead and dig in.
Nice.
Here you go, Sean. You can dig in.
So, Sean actually is quite a good chef. I don't know if he makes pies.
I'm not a chef.
Oh, he's not. Is it a chief? Did I get it spelled wrong?
Just a cook.
He's just a cook. Okay.
Why were we so late today?
You know who else was just a cook?
Who?
Steven Seagal, and he killed everybody on a battleship.
Well, he was a CIA guy. No, not a CIA guy. Or was it? No, he was a Navy SEAL.
Just a cook.
Oh, it was the CIA, right? Okay.
And what's that? Ellen Elaniak was in that?
That was before all that surgery he had. And,
I don't know. And
Botox
before he became a cop. Anyways.
Dyed his hair black. I don't know.
Go to thebutchery.com to see all their amazing selections and follow them on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to see what Chef Dave is carving up daily. You can give them a call at 248-682-COWS. They even have small private cooking classes with Chef Dave and Chef Julie.
Said that.
Well, I'm just trying to support those who support us. I'm a sponsor supporter. So you may prefer athletic supporters, particularly when you're brewing tea. Check them out if it's worth the drive, I promise, and make sure to tell them as I stated, and I guess I'll state it again and someone will point out that I stated it already. Tell them ML sent you.
Before we move on to the great debate, can we explore why Sean was so late today? Because usually you're the last one to arrive.
No, I'm not. Sean usually gets here after me.
No, that's just not true.
By seconds.
Mark.
By seconds.
Exactly. That's just not true.
It's close. Now, sometimes...
It's just not true.
Sometimes Sean gets here just before I do, but he's in the car and he seems to be occupied. I'm thinking it's with his phone. But
that was last week that I was in the car, but normally I'm in the studio before.
So why were you late?
Was I late? I was here in time.
We were going to, muster at, 11-ish. I think you walked in right when the secretary was connecting.
I did. Why was I late? We're having some work done on our property. I shouldn't say property. It's a small little, homestead way out in.
Yeah, he's raising 15 Percheron stallions out there in Washtenaw County. The Percherons, of course, are the most elitist of all horses.
Yeah, well, and I hate to say this because, we don't want to sound too elitist. We used to do all our own painting, Mark, probably like you do, probably like Mark. Oh. Mike has never done, right?
I used to have a business called High Noon Painting. In fact, there is a garage on Manning on Detroit's east side, just off of 7 and Shaner. If you go by that alley, That garage looks as good today as it did in 1987. It was painted with Sherwin-Williams yellow corn paint. Go check that out. That garage looks frigging fantastic.
I swear you have a story for everything.
He does.
That's going to be my next column.
You're going by Manning? I'll get you the address.
Yeah, I'm going to go by Manning.
It was, let me just tell you this. That was my girlfriend's mother's garage, and the paint lasted way longer than the relationship. Although
I wonder why.
I still feel the shame of the break.
How long did y'all go out?
Off and on for a year or two. It was a very tumultuous relationship.
Did she talk one time in that 2 years, or did you not allow her?
Maybe they didn't break up. Maybe she just walked away while he was in the middle of a story.
I feel like I'm being bullied.
You are.
Is this last week? What happened? Last week is there a safe place? Can I get a trigger warning on this show? Can we get a bell for that or a buzzer?
I'm sorry.
Did I jump in? Usually people tease me.
No.
Okay, there we go.
I'm sorry, little Mikey. No. In all seriousness, real quickly, I was late because we're having a little paint work done. I went to the store before I went to Arizona for the Lions. I got the paint. It sat in a cardboard box over the weekend. The painters pull it out today. My wife's inside doing her Zoom stuff for work, and she looks out the window and sees they're putting up the wrong color. I was on my way to the podcast. I had the color card and stuff with me in the car. She called me up and well, I'm not going to repeat what she said.
Yeah.
Right? She thought I'd sabotage it because I didn't like her colors that she picked. And then I purposely did that. And I said, yes, because I wanted to listen to this.
Yeah, well, and she sent me a text here. It says, are you the one who told Sean to get rid of my yellow corn for his precious primrose?
Yeah, no, it was all off the same card. It was just the wrong shades. I was able to fix it.
Is it married?
She was able to fix it.
Is it Married Life Wonderful?
It is. The fact that she actually thought that I was trying to sabotage, and this was, I'm sorry, I accidentally got the wrong colors when really it was all part of a plot.
Believe me, I get that question all the time. Why did you do blank? And I simply respond most of the time, because I'm an idiot. That's what I said.
I said, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. She said, I don't buy it. I said, you've been in charge for 30, okay.
So
years.
just to put things in perspective, my car got shot. Sean picked the wrong color on a color card. How many different shades of pink are there? That's Washtenaw County living versus Wayne County living.
Wayne County. Yeah, I was going to say, Grosse Pointe has a lot of
I won't change my mind on anything, regardless
I
of
painted
the facts
houses
that are
there
set
too.
out before me. I'm dug in, and I'll never change.
Pray none. Pray two. Pray none. Pray two. Pray none infinity. Pray two infinity plus one. No.
Our great debate is brought to you by Hope Not Handcuffs. Since 2017, the Hope's Not Handcuffs program has helped 4,600 people get the help and resources they may not have gotten otherwise. Anyone struggling with a substance use disorder or addiction, whether it be heroin, painkillers, cocaine, even alcohol, can get into one of 100 participating police locations. Go to one of these participating police locations and ask for help. Don't worry about getting arrested. Tell them you're there under the Hope Not Handcuffs proviso. The police officer will treat you with compassion and call a volunteer angel that will come to the police department and assist with paperwork and making phone calls to get them placed into treatment that day. This is a way to help your friends, your loved ones who maybe need that little extra push. Maybe they are on the edge. These days, it's so easy to turn to a crutch, and that crutch may actually be something that knocks you over for the last time. So please, Hope Not Handcuffs is there to help. The first step doesn't need to be the hardest. There is hope. Go to hopenothandcuffs.com to learn more and make the step toward recovery.
And they are looking for angels if anyone wants to help volunteer. It's a really good program.
Yeah, and this is something I think everyone, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think this is true. I think everyone knows somebody who's overdosed. It may be,
unfortunately,
that they were doing a little of the booger sugar and they thought that was no problem, but they got a hot shot laced with fentanyl and that was it for them. In fact, Teresa and I did a story a month or two ago out of Grosse Pointe where there were several people on the same weekend who, it was in the Free Press.
You don't say. You did a story.
Pays your bills, brother.
Okay.
Pays for that
No,
paint.
keep going about yourself.
That's that luscious lilac, or was it lavender promise?
It was gray, dark gray. They probably don't have a lot of that in Grosse Pointe, though. But go ahead and talk about yourself some more, please.
Gray and lavender
Darren and I are
remarkably similar. It's just a little, you put a little of the maroon into the gray base. I used to work at Sherwin-Williams too, by the way. And that
really? I didn't know.
It to us. So anyways, 1,600 different colors, all of them off-white. So very tricky. But people who have a heroin addiction and they seem to be able to manage it.
That's an off-white too.
They're sort of your local Keith Richards, but then they get a bad dose and out they go. So let's do what we can to save those lives. HopeNotHandcuffs.com. Take a look. And if you can be an angel, it's the one time somebody takes a title that sounds pretty grandiose, but is probably more than well earned. So we appreciate their sponsorship, and we appreciate you, those of you who can make this happen. And we should also say, if you're a murderer and you go in there, they may arrest you. But
yeah, it's a little different.
Anything short of being the Unabomber, they're probably just going to get you some help. So.
Is that the debate? Are we done?
Yeah.
No, there's no debate. That's a great program.
Mark and I don't need to talk during the debate. Why don't you debate with yourself?
I debated with myself whether to unlock the door when I realized I got here before Sean, but he kicked it in. He's covered in sort of a marigold. I don't know. Did you
I'm wearing a blue-gray hoodie.
A roller before you went out there? Okay.
Oh, I accidentally made out with the mic. I'm sorry.
Jeez, the mic, not the ML. Our great debate is one that I think people are talking about throughout the country right now. It really feels like a conversation we've been having for 4 years, and that is, will Donald Trump's taxes affect the election? Should it affect the election? And do we even care that this guy who won't release his tax returns, it turns out it looks like they got out. Although the New York Times is not sharing those documents, they say because they want to protect their sources, which makes me wonder if the sources may have signed those tax returns, because otherwise, you just redact that stuff and throw it out there. So at this point, gentlemen, do you think that, Sean, do you think that that there's any chance that this is one of the things that will turn the tide in the last month or so of the election for the Donald?
I don't. I just the people that support him, I don't think care, and the response we've seen so far from a lot of them is that, hey, he's smart, right? Rush Limbaugh went on a big rant the other day about how he's smart for not paying taxes.
I agree with him. I think he is smart. Nobody wants to pay. If you can get away with paying as little tax as possible, most people would do that. And he had some incredible, crazy write-offs. And he had the balls to do it. He probably will get caught. Maybe some he won't get caught. I agree with you. I don't think it's going to change anything presidentially. I wonder, though, down ballot, maybe people in certain states will go, you know what? This guy's not the everyman I thought he was. This just proves it again. He doesn't have the money that I thought he did, because it's really not about tech.
Yeah, to me, that's what would hurt him, right? And it would have to be
illusion,
and he would have to release it. If he released it, or somebody, it came out and you saw the documents and it showed, look, he's a con man. He's never made the kind of money, and he's not very good with money and all that. That might hurt him a little.
I just don't think that's going to change anyone's opinion of him. But I wonder if that will make somebody. I don't know. I don't know how it will affect, but I wonder if it will affect things down. Maybe there are some Republicans that are sick of him, will vote Republican Senate locally, and then switch Biden. I find that hard to believe, because we know what he is, and his administration likes to say it. He says what he is. We know what he is and what he means, which they're a little I don't know, but I just feel like this isn't much of a surprise.
Well, no, of course it's not a surprise. Maybe, sorry, Mike, I know you wanted to talk. You've been talking for
I wanted to let Darren
years.
get in here because
now you want him. Now on our time you want him.
I mean, for me, I'm interested in what his explanation will be during tonight's debate. Whether he stumbles and fumbles over it, or whether he addresses it, head on. And also, the undecideds that are out here. There are still a lot of people who they may like or hate Donald Trump or whomever, or Joe Biden, and this will be their deciding factor. So for me, I think it's another thing that's been hanging over him for 4 years.
Yeah, this
we'll see.
And as people
this
don't
is
care.
the longest tax audit in history, right? I mean, he still can't release him because he's being audited like he was in 2016. But this is precisely why I wanted Darren to jump in, because we need that kind of wisdom, because he's struck on the crucial point of this. And it also doesn't contradict what you knotheads were saying.
Wrong.
But this is not about Trump supporters. They are with the man no matter what. They've always been with the man. This is about the independents.
There are very few of those, Mike. Come on.
Well, but the thing is, it's not revelatory even to the independents, because we've heard all along, as Mark cited, that he says, I'm not paying taxes because I'm smart. I'm allowed to do this. I can do this with the system. It reminds me of a story I did on Warren Evans, the Wayne County executive, that was really just kind of catching up on a story Chris Christoph of the Free Press had originally done, showing that Warren Evans was taking advantage of a very generous pension provision as a Wayne County retiree. And Warren Evans' response was, very matter-of-factly, I can take advantage of it. I'd be stupid not to. Now, my point was, you're saying the reason why Wayne County is in trouble is because of all these people taking advantage of pension things, and you're taking care of one. Don't you feel like a hypocrite? And he's like, nope, I take advantage of the rules that are out there, and that's why I do it. But
isn't that a hate the sin, love the sinner kind of thing, or hate the player, or love the player, hate the game type of thing?
I voluntarily took a furlough at the Free Press, so I just feel like you should always do the right thing. But maybe I'm that guy. And it's lonely in that room. But here's where I wanted to get with this.
Finally.
What happened with Hillary Clinton in 2016 was that a bunch of little things started to chip away at her. Just little things that peeled off a few people here, a few people there. And my question is, and I don't know the answer, but I think it's possible that this may peel off a few people from Trump. And when you won by an ass hair last time, you can't afford to lose those.
Well, here's the kind of people I think you're talking about. Here's the kind of people I think you're talking about. And I don't know that they're undecideds. Maybe they softly support the president. Maybe they are culturally conservative, but fiscally liberal, right? Union Democrats. Think about some of the folks in Macomb County, right? Warren, that sort of thing. Maybe they are sick and tired on some level. Maybe this will be it. Maybe this will be the straw. You know what? $750 when I pay, $6-7 or whatever it is, $8,000, that actually might make a difference. But I wouldn't consider those people undecided. Maybe there are a small amount of people who are going to vote for Trump, and the little things that are chipping away, like, I just can't take this anymore.
But those could be the Hillary voters who said, I don't care about the emails. And then when Jim Comey comes out in the last couple of days and said, we've reopened the investigation, they say, okay, I was teetering. I was going to let it slide, but you know what? Screw it.
The polls moved after that.
Yeah.
They absolutely moved after that.
So maybe that's the debate is this one of those things that will just nudge people just that little bit before the election?
I think it could in that way, because his base doesn't care, as Mark and I established. And I'm not so cynical that I don't think there are people that say $750 based on whatever it was he was making or not making is somehow being smart. Right? I mean, I think all three of us in this room, if we paid $500 in taxes for the year, we'd feel fucking guilty. Excuse my language.
I wouldn't. That'd be great.
No, I would.
Pay that
I would. There's no way I would go around in this society feeling good about myself making the money that I make, paying $500 or $750. I just wouldn't. You're going to go out and look at other citizens and say, you feel good about that? No way. You're just not.
I don't know.
You might feel good saving $1,000, Mark, or whatever. You can write off this or that. I understand that.
And I'd be hypocritical like most people and say, oh, someone else should pay for that and someone else should pay more. But I'm going to take advantage of any write-off I can. Now, I wouldn't push the limits because I don't want to go through an audit. But if I feel like, this is allowed to be, a business expense or this or that, why wouldn't I take it?
No, you would
now,
for that.
He just pushes the limit maybe a little further. But how many people voted for him or didn't vote for him because they thought he did or didn't pay a lot of taxes? I don't think that's why people necessarily.
Why did he hide it though? Because he obviously
because of how much money
he would get hurt.
Because the image of him being a 10 billionaire was hurt by this. Because his businesses, it showed in there that they're losing a lot of money, and it's just maybe his value in life is his monetary net worth. Like, that's what he values. That's how he judges
Which
people.
Is a con, right? It's all a con.
Well, what if it turns out he really ran for president because he needed the job?
And a way to get to get his fingers into stuff.
Yeah.
Did you see the story the other day about his family and the apprentice or whatever asking for the per diem for food?
Sure.
Oh, really?
Well, if it's allowed.
And the producers were all saying this isn't how wealthy people act.
I don't know about that. When I was a paper boy, it was when I was delivering papers on Windmill Point Drive in Grosse Pointe Park that I got the worst tips.
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean, that's kind of sometimes the rich people, they figure that's how they got rich. But Darren, do you think this is going to be, I mean, you mentioned the debate and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. I would have thought one of the big topics on the debate was the Bob Woodward tapes and the conversation about, I knew it was a big deal. Is this something that would change the tenor of that debate, or I mean, because if you're going to talk about something that just happened up in the last couple of days, you got to not talk about something else because you only have so much time. What falls off of the agenda there?
Well, I think for me, I think it's one thing that has to be addressed. Hopefully, it gets addressed quite quickly. But in terms of everything else that has been talked about. My thing is what's next. We kind of know how elections go. We all know that, dirt gets slung around right around during this time. And so my question is, what's going to be next? And is what's next going to do one of those things that chips more at his armor? So.
Well, and one thing that I'm wondering, just on that point on the debate, one thing that I'm wondering, and I'm kind of ashamed it just occurred to me now, is how much tax did Joe Biden pay? Has he released his returns yet, or are reporters not asking for that? Because if there's something in there, I expect Trump to come back and say something like, so I paid less in taxes than Hunter Biden made from Burisma. But I mean,
that's a great question.
Where's the Biden tax returns? Is anybody scrutinizing those?
I mean, his tax returns have been released. Would have to be talking about recent tax returns, right? And I think I saw some stories about all the money he made on since he left the vice president,
which is funny because remember he said he's never made over $400,000 in a year,
and he hadn't until that point, and that was not a smart thing to say on his part.
That was stupid, and that's how you hammer him back,
right? See that, and he made the mistake of thinking that wouldn't affect him because it doesn't affect Trump. He makes kind of statements like that.
Does affect Biden because this guy is making a lot more money than anybody knew, and I think that might sway voters more than the Trump tax release.
But just to get back real quick to this, I love it if my refund is more. If I find a couple other things to write or whatever, right? Everybody does. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, maybe you get $3,000 back instead of $2,000 back, and you're ecstatic, but you still paid $10,000-15,000 in taxes. Right. So, and if you paid nothing, I mean nothing, $500, whatever, I just don't think, obviously society couldn't operate that way, but I don't think you'd feel good about it. Most people.
Well, you seem to be getting enough back to hire somebody to paint that garage. I'd have done it for half the price.
Thank you.
You can't paint.
I can paint.
It would take forever, though.
I can paint like Michelangelo. I just don't hang upside down.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
That last one was a thinker. I know some people are still scratching their heads. It's a Sistine.
He laid flat. He wasn't hanging.
It's a Sistine Chapel joke. Just go.
The joke.
You're trying to say you're a vampire.
No, I'm trying to say that it could have been M.A. Angelo. No. Michael, what was his last name? Something that ended in a vowel. Something Eni. Okay.
There you go.
Anyways, some people like to save up for something really nice.
Stupid question.
Maybe a little extra money. They can paint their garage, or a new earring that looks cool, or maybe even a time machine that can take you back to the 90s when dudes with earrings that weren't pro athletes were a thing. If you're wondering how you can budget for a major purchase, call our man Luke Nowacki at 248-663-4748 or email at lnowacki@pinnaclewealthstrategies.com. He can assist you to devise a plan targeted to help you reach your financial goals. And when you call Luke, he'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
And we are up to our Geek of the Week. Mark, do you want to start us off, or I would ask Sean, but then he'll just say something contrary.
Sure, I'll start. This
Plus,
story.
with Sean, it's always
maybe
me.
I won't.
So I'm.
It's always what?
I'm always your geek of the week, so I just want
that was one time, but go ahead and exaggerate.
I want to delay
I guess
the
our
pain.
listeners are used to that.
I want to delay the pain.
Go ahead, Mark.
I'm going to go all the way over to the wonderful country of Belgium. Beautiful country. Great descendants.
Great beer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Home of
Mannequin piss?
no, I think it's
Waffles?
Stella Artois is a Belgian beer, isn't it?
That's like saying Heineken's a Dutch beer.
I only drink Altus, so I don't know.
Well, that's
Or
what I mean.
Corona's a Mexican beer.
There's a lot of people wasting money on Stella when they could get themselves a nice cold Altus.
So there's a woman over there, Christelle Eppold. She is in jail right now because she murdered her ex-boyfriend, which, that's great. But the good news is she has a new boyfriend. And listen to what a great guy this is. He rented a helicopter in his own name to try and spring her from prison. The problem is the helicopter, first off, was rented in his name. It hovered over, couldn't find a place to land. He commandeered it with a replica handgun. And as it's hovering over the prison, he proceeded to vomit outside of the helicopter 5 times because he was airsick, all in hopes of busting free his murderous wife.
I don't know if I think that's all in hopes of conjugal visit sex. Does anybody remember that from Seinfeld when they?
Yeah, they say it's the best, right?
Canned heat, man, or chained heat when that gets out. Sybil Danning, anybody? Oh. I know upstairs Drew is like Sybil Danning. Yeah, Sybil Danning. Yeah,
I just think
I'm not allowed to talk, so.
Oh.
Well, that you just that would seem to be a contradiction in terms, but. Sean,
I thought it was an okay choice.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. I mean, and I'm not sure that she's going to want to get into a chopper full of barf.
No, I know. That's why it failed.
She should have watched The Mechanic, where Charles Bronson tried to get Robert Duvall out of a Mexican prison for Jill Ireland.
Sean?
Okay. Sorry, Sean
Sean
to the rescue.
Save him from himself.
My geek of the week is me for getting the wrong paint and making my wife think I sabotaged her project. If I can't gain her trust after 30 years, then I'm a huge geek. So that's it.
Wow. Oh, man.
I just changed my geek of the week to Sean for trying to kiss his wife's ass on the podcast instead of going and trying to at least steal this pie, which is what I would have done.
What pie?
It's from the butchery. It's a good pie.
Yeah, that looks like a good pie. Is that real, or did they use Crisco to make that?
It's all
there
real.
goes another sponsor.
No. It looks so beautiful, like the food crafters who make food for commercials. That's what it looks like.
It is a lovely pie.
It's real. It's almost too beautiful.
But don't tell that to your wife. Yeah. Just bring her something good to eat. Okay, well, Sean punted. But my geek of the week is Tucker Carlson, who I think people know how I feel about people on both sides, left and right, who promulgate things that aren't true. And
just say what you're going to say without for once couching it.
This gives me an opportunity.
Quit acting like you. Oh, I'm a journalist. I'm impartial. Just freaking say it.
I am a journalist. I thought it was inappropriate when
inappropriate. So you
Jake
think it sucks?
Tapper was on CNN questioning whether or not Donald Trump had some sort of disability because he was using 2 hands to sip water and had trouble getting off Air Force One without using the railing. You can't make speculation like that without having something to back it up. And I thought it was equally irresponsible when Rush Limbaugh the other day was saying that the reason why you don't see Joe Biden after hours is because he has sundowner's disease. These are serious allegations. And whether you're a hardcore reporter, an objective reporter, or some media personality, you should have some basis in truth for what you're saying. You should have some facts to support. You shouldn't just hop on a mic and start saying some yang that you don't know. Well, anyways, that's what my man Tucker Carlson does. And he was sued by Karen Dougal, the former Playboy model. McDougal, sorry. Karen McDougal, the former Playboy model and Michigan nursery school teacher.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, those PTA meetings must have been, all those slots must have been filled. It's like, honey, I'm going to go, I'm going to go see how our baby's doing.
We had her in studio when she won Playmate of the Year.
Did you?
Yes. Very beautiful. Very nice.
If you like that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it's. I didn't think she was the one exception where they had the really not attractive Playboy of the year, but yes,
she sued.
So she sued Carlson because he had made some comments about her payoff and how her thing went with Donald Trump and how it was a catch and kill thing where she was paid for her story, but then the people who paid her didn't really want to publish it; they wanted to kill it. Anyways, Fox News finally said what so many of us have already known. To defend him, they said, he's not really saying that this is true. this is his opinion. This is embellished. This is some stuff that's just said for effect. So my point is, yeah, while Tucker may try and tell you he speaks the truth, when he gets his nuts in a vice, he does speak the truth, and the truth is that he doesn't speak the truth. So Tucker Carlson, for everybody now knowing, it's testimony, it's sworn documents.
Can I change my Geek of the Week for you thinking that this is new with him?
Sean Windsor's my Geek of the Week.
I can't believe it.
Sorry, Tucker. I'm getting
what a revelation. Okay, go ahead.
I'm getting you a pie. Hit the sounder!
You kids are soft.
I don't care for that guy.
Me neither. Too soft.
I'm gonna pretend like you didn't just make my dick go soft.
I never thought I would say this, but it's going to be so great to hear Matt after what we've just been through. Professor Jennings.
That was pretty wild.
It's time to get us up to date on the week that wasn't.
Are you allowed to talk now?
The soft week.
Did Mark give you the okay to talk?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys can jump in whenever you want.
Hey, I see that you're back
Except
in the
for
rig. Can I ask you, does that vehicle have one of the hauling ass decals on the mud flaps?
No, it doesn't, but it does have a pair of bull testicles on the back.
Always classy.
Which are they're rotting.
Is that yours, or did that come with the truck?
No, they're rotting bull testicles. It's pretty bad.
So you and the truck have something in common.
But you put them there.
Yeah, I put them there.
Okay.
I got them from the butchery.
God, we are killing this sponsor. Would you guys shut up? Couldn't you have got him from like Kowalski Sausage or someplace?
If I wanted to hang lips and buttholes, yeah.
Wow, now we've lost a sponsor and our appetite.
Wonderful start.
Speaking of lips and butthole, why don't you put those together for some soft history?
Oh, okay. 1936. England's latest and fastest transport by the name of the Caledonian began production this week. This flying boat was designed to transport passengers back and forth from England to America without the need of an airport or runway. Kind of a crazy invention, a flying boat, but not as crazy as John Denver's sinking plane.
Too soon, man.
Oh, sorry.
Did they ever find his head?
What?
Oh,
he was decapitated.
He was? I didn't know that part about it.
Was he really?
That's fascinating.
So when I lived in Chicago, they had a radio contest where they said if you found John Denver's head, they would give you a reward, and if he was still wearing those little round glasses, they would double it.
Oh, poor guy. Now I didn't feel bad, but now I do.
No, you don't. Next,
in 1975, Booker T drummer Al Jackson was shot and killed by an alleged burglar in his home. His wife was brought in for questioning due to the fact that she was arrested that past July for shooting Jackson during a domestic dispute. But in the end, the police ruled it a botched robbery attempt and an effective divorce.
Too soon.
Man, everything's too soon today.
Just kidding.
Well, in 94, John Wayne Bobbitt, you know what? I'm going to skip that one. I'll put that on my soft magazine.
Oh, I like
Twitter.
that joke. I saw that one. That's a good joke.
I don't know. I think it might be too
I'm going
brutal.
to do it. I'm going to do it. Ready?
Yep.
In 1994, the adult film John Wayne Bobbitt Uncut was released on video, and critics were not too kind with the film. In fact, one critic wrote, "The film's so bad, I'm able to type this with both hands."
Was that the director's cut?
I thought that was a good joke. Terrible delivery.
Yeah. I heard a lot of Bobbitt stories on the Drew and Mike podcast.
We go way back with John.
I may be having.
We can thank them for that one.
I may be having detachment syndrome.
All right, one more, Matt. What do you got?
Okay,
that was
let's see,
so
one more.
enthusiastic,
Mark.
Mark.
What should we do?
Wow.
Oh, why don't you pick which one I should do, Mark?
Oh boy,
one more, Mike. Excuse me, Matt.
Sorry.
What have you got?
Well, somebody took all our time.
Sorry.
Telling stories about paint.
Oh, sorry.
All right. In
Wait,
2009,
me or Mike?
Which one of us?
Canadian.
I was going to say, sorry, Matt.
You know, the only thing that was longer than our stories about paint was how long that paint job I did lasted. It still looks good.
I hate your slang. It's so gross. In 2009, a Canadian billionaire by the name of Guy Laliberté became the first clown to travel to outer space as a part of the space tourism program.
Like literally a clown?
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did he have makeup on?
Like he makes you laugh? Like he's funny?
He wasn't a regular guy pretending to be a clown. He was dressed as a clown.
So did he juggle?
Anyway,
That's great.
Yeah, did he juggle? Or was he, Canadian and he sounds French. I'm just going to guess he was a mime.
With zero gravity, even I could juggle.
He was juggling on Earth, and then when he got up there wasn't much to juggle. But anyway, La Belté chose to travel to outer space, not in the name of science, but in the name of art. And it wouldn't be the last time a billionaire put on orange face paint and did something crazy.
Wrong.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
You want to start us?
What's going on?
Can I just say something real quick? Mike stood up and he's in shorts and his legs, well, let's just say I can't stand up now.
Ooh.
And I just wanted to, paint that. He looks fabulous. He was texting me yesterday about how handsome he was, and I was a little dubious, but now I know.
I was not. I was responding. I just said.
Actually, that's true. I told him he was handsome.
Yeah, that's why I wore these shorts, because Sean had requested assless chaps, but I thought.
Lovely.
You're playing hard to get, and I appreciate that.
Out of respect for this, the chairs in this studio.
One square inch of flesh at a time. Go ahead.
That's right. I figured I would, rather than flash the moon, I would just be sunny. Room 7609 is brought to you by David Hall and Hall Financial, and that's why they want to save you money. They want to save you money so you can buy our great keychains. It's a great time, Room 7609 keychains. It's a great time to look at your options, and that's why many people are refinancing right now. If you haven't refinanced in the last year, Hall Financial is here to help. Now's the time to lower your monthly payments. If you haven't noticed, interest rates are rock bottom. You can not only keep some money by getting lower interest rates, but you can extend the length of the loan, which will lower those rates. And by refinancing, you can probably skip a couple of payments. So that's going to be one easy way to keep some extra money in your pocket as we go through some very turbulent times. And why not see if you can save some money right now? I mean, does that sound like a good idea?
Love saving money.
Seems like a no-brainer. If you're worried about the coronavirus, listen, nobody's going to come into your house, okay? They can be appraised by they call them drive-by appraisals. And if you've just painted your garage, that increases the value of your property. So
why did you whisper when you said nobody's going to come into your house? Okay.
Well, it's kind of felt. I was channeling a little Alan Allman there for just a minute.
Okay.
It's like, I won't come over. I'll just be on your radio. Okay. So anyways, Hall Financial again. Why does anybody sponsor this show? It's just like, please don't.
Because they get 3-minute reads.
Well, I keep trying to figure out what part of the show can we connect them to that's not offensive, and it basically is the ending of the show. So, anyways, their service is the fastest in the business. I know because they've put together some very complicated deals for me. My man Dan Morrison is the guy you need to call at 248-308-5000, 248-308-5000. Hall Financial, lower payments, better options, more personal attention. You can find a link to their website on our website, mlsoulofdetroit.com. And when you contact them, please let them know ML sent you. NMLS 146-7435. And for those of you wondering when this show is going to end, the Smiths are asking the same question. They want to know, how soon is now?
I'm the sun and the air. All the shyness that is criminally vulgar. I'm sun and air of nothing in particular. You should know, how can you say I go about things the wrong way? shyness that is criminally vulgar. I am the son and heir of nothing in particular. You should you know, how can you say I go about things the wrong way? I am human and I need to be loved, just like everybody else does. If you'd like to go, you could meet somebody who really loves you. So you go and you stand on your own, and you leave on your own, and you go home and you cry and you want to die.
So I know those of you who are big Room 7609 fans are like, okay, so let me get this straight. The premise is we have underappreciated songs by new wave bands we know and love, or we have new wave bands we never heard of, but now that we've heard of them, we love them. So how's it that you put How Soon Is Now, one of the great Smith anthems, into Room 7609? Well, my friends, because this is the final week of B-Sides month, where we're taking B-Sides from some of our favorite new wave artists and playing them just to kind of underscore how even the people who are paid to figure out what the hits are don't always know what they're talking about. And maybe I just say this because I have a fantastic book proposal that nobody's sold. It's not because the book proposal isn't very good. It's because they don't know what quality is when they held it in their hands.
We wondered how you were going to make it about yourself.
So far, just for what it's worth, so far we've had no Kilpatrick references. Hit the bell!
Until now.
Yeah. So self-fulfilling prophecy. But anyways, How Soon Is Now was the B-side of William, It Was Really Nothing. Also a great tune. But this song stands out from the Smith catalog because it is so different. And I think one of the reasons why is because Johnny Marr, the much underappreciated Andy Rourke, and I also like the drummer Mike Joyce, got baked, came back, just started playing some stuff. And they basically put together this tune and then handed it off to Morrissey, and then he ripped off some movie lyrics and some literature to put the lyrics together. And I said movie lines, I should say. And lo and behold, here we have How Soon Is Now, maybe the song that the Smiths are most known for, and maybe one of their most successful of all time. So we wanted to end the month strong.
That's your favorite band, right? Oh boy, gee, of course. It's not never a yes or no answer, isn't it?
It's not, Mark.
All right.
No, my daughters ask me this all the time, like, what's your favorite whatever? I'm like, I don't think like that. I mean, I love a lot of different things.
Don't ask him questions, Mark, unless they're rhetorical.
How'd you get turned into, because this is probably going to be a long story, but how'd you get into the band?
I got into a woman, and she turned me on to the band. This was probably my first serious girlfriend. Was a huge Smiths fan, turned me on to a lot of really cool new wave music, and also got me a job painting her mother's garage on Manning.
Well, see, everything's full circle.
So yeah, okay. she had great taste in everything but men.
Don't we have somebody
I was
out
just
there waiting patiently?
Thanks to her, that's why we have our guest on today.
That's right.
Really?
And so the answer to your question, really, Mark, is who's my favorite band? Well, it's the Smiths United. And I'm so happy that we're being joined by Christopher George, the lead singer of the Smiths United. They are playing this Friday at the Caju Cafe. You know how careful we are about the coronavirus, and not just because we're selling masks and gaiters, which you can get at JuneMikeStore.com, but because we want you to be able to party next year too. Smiths United are playing outdoors at the Caju in a large, open, socially distanced venue. And if you don't want to get too close to the stage, you can go sit at Muscle Beach, which is by the Garage Bar, and you'll hear and see one of the great acts in Metro Detroit. I've been talking too much. Chris, thanks for joining us today.
What's up, guys?
So tell us a little bit about this gig. I know, a lot of my friends have seen the Smiths United play at the Magic Bag at venues throughout town, played at the Caju before, I believe, and also have played in my backyard for our annual yard beer party because of COVID-19. We had to cancel that. But, and I think you guys had to miss rehearsals. I mean, have you guys had a chance to play together since this all started?
The last time we really played was our November gig for Thanksgiving Eve last year at the Magic Bag.
Wow.
So typically after that show, we take off, December, January, and then we start prepping for whatever we're going to do in the spring. Unfortunately, COVID hit and we were not able to rehearse. So we actually just started prepping for this show about 3 weeks ago. So, and we're doing, I believe, about 35 songs in the set. So
how much rust? How much rust?
Actually, there wasn't much rust. That's the good thing about doing a tribute. And all of us love the music. So everybody pretty much, it was just getting that muscle memory back again. And, for me, I didn't really sing for a year other than in the shower and, to myself and to my kids, because they love hearing me sing. So, but, other than that, really, it was like almost 10 months off of rehearsals. But I think we're set to go.
How much do you channel Morrissey? I mean, are you as bummed out as he is about everything?
No, I'm not.
Okay, good.
I try to find the humor in what Morrissey does, because I think a lot of what Morrissey does is actually a lot more front loaded with humor than depression, which a lot of people seem to miss in their music. There's a lot of comedy in what he does, a lot of humor. I try to channel it a little bit, but I don't want to be too cheesy about it either. Yeah. So, as far as the on-stage persona goes, yes, I wear the sport coat and a t-shirt or a button down, and, I do all that and try to imitate some of the dance movements and whatnot. Hey. But yeah.
No gladioli though.
Every once in a while.
Occasionally. They're hard to come
every
by.
once in a while. Like for the Thanksgiving show, the bigger shows, we'll put a little bit more production into it, stuff like that. But for the most part, I try not to be too corny about it, because some tribute bands go so far with it that it just becomes like, come on.
Are you a vegetarian?
No, I'm not.
Oh, well, there's a big difference.
Yeah, there's a huge difference right there. Yeah.
Yes, and so, why would we pamper life's complexities when the leather runs smooth on the passenger seat?
Jesus,
I have no idea why.
See, there's no reason. It's completely
there's absolutely no reason.
Completely ludicrous. So,
yes.
Chris, I think you joined us while we were playing "How Soon Is Now," and I'm wondering, what is your favorite Smiths tune to perform or to listen to?
That's a really hard call. There's so many to pick from. There's so many greats. How Soon Is Now? It's a great song. It's just one of those that you have to play every single show. So you kind of get worn out on some of these after a while. I really enjoy playing Nowhere Fast. I really enjoy playing The Queen Is Dead. Suede Head is always a great one. I think personally, as far as singing goes, I would have to say, and it's not a Smith song, but Every Day Is Like Sunday is probably pretty far up there. So there's a lot to pick from.
One of my favorite tunes that you guys do, and one of my favorite Smiths tune, is Barbarism. And you guys, I think one of the first years you played at my place, it was the last tune, and it's a walk-off tune where everybody kind of peels off one at a time. And at that time, the guys were just playing on the basketball court in the back where Sean and I used to battle many epic Saturdays. And as each
wasn't much of a battle.
As each performer, well, don't sell yourself short. But as each performer walks off, the show kind of ends, and there's this elation afterwards, and also the disappointment that there's no more music coming. So as it kind of fades out, and everybody's like, "Oh, that was great," and then the conversation sort of resumes, and people go for another beer. Well, I go walk into the house, and all the guys are sitting in the kitchen because there's no green room. So it's like, where do they go after the show? So everybody's in the kitchen having a beer. And that, I just thought that was so cool. I was like, oh my God, how, does this, where else does this happen? So it's going to be great to have you guys on the East Side. And next month, we're going to be doing non-new wave bands that cover new wave tunes, and we are going to have a band. We're going to start the month off with a band that covers How Soon Is Now, and it's a pretty mind blowing cover. It's
there's a lot of covers of that song out there, and what's funny is that female band, the pop group Tattoo, they did a cover of How Soon Is Now years ago, and it was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, some of those, I think there's been metal renditions. I mean, it really kind of transcends all the genres, which is probably the sign of a great tune.
Yeah, you've got some great songwriting when any type of group can cover a song or sample a song or reuse that song. There's a really solid core there. So that one's been covered a multitude of times.
Oh, I was just going to ask, so when you're covering a song, do you feel like you have to be, just so true to the Smiths version, or can you diverge and, make it your own as they do on American Idol?
We typically try to do the album versions of the songs and try to get them as close as possible. Some of it you can't totally get, but I think we get very, very close to a presentation that's very, very close to the album versions. Some songs we have to trim a little bit of fat off the end because some of their songs just go on and on and on. So there's a lot of music at the tail end of some of the songs. So sometimes we just need to trim a little bit of that off at the back end. But for the most part, I would say we try to play them as true to the records as we can.
Wise choice.
Because most of us feel that if somebody's coming to see us as a tribute band, they expect to hear the record version. And, sometimes if you're not exactly right, Max, our bass player, will always say, the ear fills in a lot of what might not be there. But we do have the two guitar players. We do have a keyboardist, Tim, that comes in and plays with us sometimes. So for the bigger shows, we really try to fill out the full spectrum on everything to get it as close as possible. The CAD will be a little different because we won't have a keyboard player with us. But Mike, the other guitar player, let's take There's a Light That Never Goes Out, for instance. He'll use the guitar to kind of comp the actual keyboard parts for that song. So we do our best to try and get the best realization of the album versions as we can.
Yeah, this isn't Dread Zeppelin, okay, where you're looking for some sort of parody or some sort of reinvention of the wheel. And I'll tell you, the Smiths Unite, they sound great. I a couple of years ago, I was with my buddy University in Brooklyn, and we went to a New Year's Eve show to see a Smiths cover band. And you figure if you're going to get a great cover band, New York, you'd probably have the best of all. Smiths United would have blown these guys away. So I'm really looking forward to Friday. And I should also tell you, you know what they have on tap in the garage bar?
What?
They've got Altus. So
all guests appearing on ML Solo Detroit receive a 12-pack of Altus Lager.
Oh, he loves beer.
So, Chris, I owe you a 12-pack. Can you give us a quick update on where people can find out what's going on with Smiths United website, some of the tunes they can find on Facebook, on YouTube?
So we've got 2 videos we just did. We did the COVID quarantine video thing. We did our own recording of Still Ill with the video, and we also did a recording and video of The Boy with a Thorn in His Side. We can be found on Facebook, just, facebook.com/The Smiths United. That's really all. I never really thought we needed an actual website because it's a tribute band and it's mostly about the social media aspect for us.
Yeah.
So you can find us on Facebook.
And I think I originally found you guys on MySpace. So we've
I think so.
We've had some evolution, but
yeah.
Christopher George, and tell folks a little bit about your website and what you do when you're not performing.
I'm a home inspector by trade. That's my full-time job. So I'm not really in the creative arts as far as my career goes, but on the other end of the spectrum, I run a spoiler-free movie sleuth website. Sorry. It's a spoiler-free movie review website, themoviesleuth.com. Been doing that for about 10 years as well. I actually started the website at the same time that the Smiths United started. So both are about 10 years old right now.
So lots of great content out there brought to you by Christopher George and the boys in Smiths United. So Chris, I will see you guys on Friday. I hope everybody comes out to join us.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris. So we are coming to the end of an epic show. If you would like to support this endeavor, you can just send us some money. It's not really complicated. I mean, I don't know what the big buildup is all about. Mark, I've already made this more difficult than it needs to be. How do people just open their wallet, open their hearts, and show us some love?
mlsolodetroit.com, little donate button. There's also all the past shows are on there. It's a lovely website. Everyone should check it out.
Lovely is a word I would associate with Mike Elric.
Very much so.
It's also the name of the paint that you forgot to buy. Lovely lisp. Is that? No, that's not a Smith song. What's it? Something lisp? Anyway, we want to thank our donors as always. You're the people who keep us coming back every week since we do our best to alienate sponsors. In fact, yeah, you know what? If you go to one of our sponsors and you tell them something crazy, we said, tell them that Eli, Denny, and Bob sent you. Just stay away from the meat packing ones. Hey, we want to thank Frank for his support. And it's Frank, by the way, not Francis.
The name's Francis Sawyer. But everybody calls me Psycho. Any of you guys call me Francis, and I'll kill you.
So keep that in mind. And this is the last call for Cami Soul. This is a program we've had a limited success with, but we think it's a lot of fun. It's where you send us $20. You make a donation in the notes portion of your PayPal page. You send a message for us to read on the show for somebody you love and care. So here's one that we got. This is a parody. This did not really happen, but somebody said, hey, Sean. Kenny Galladay here was great seeing you in the desert. I missed you. I missed your musk. It was nice having you out there. I just wanted to say thanks for bringing us some luck. Thanks for bringing us some victory. On behalf of Kenny Galladay.
It's a really odd one.
Why don't you just let people? Soul of Detroit. Really just let people say something on the show a little bit. You know, why do you always have to charge everybody for everything?
Maybe that's why this feature's not been as successful as we had originally.
I mean, I know you're a little entrepreneur, but.
They can call, they can email. How do they do that?
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know.
Feedback's good, man. Why do you want to make people pay for feedback?
Well,
why are you being dejected?
Now that Sean's opened the door to everybody, to the hoi polloi, I'm wondering, Sean, how can people reach us? What's that phone number again?
Here, let me get your cell.
313-288-9070. That's Butterfield 89070. Or you can send us an email at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. Now, people like me don't like giving their money away for nothing. So perhaps you'd like to support us by buying some of our great merchandise. We have masks. We have sweet gaiters. We have keychains for room 7609, T-shirts, hockey jerseys on sale, stickers, signed Kwame Sutras, all kinds of sweet stuff to get at, Mark?
DrewandMikeStore.com.
See, that's how it's done, Sean. When your name gets called, you get in the game.
ML mentioned that you were in the desert for the Cardinals-Lions game. How weird was that? How weird was traveling, first of all?
Well, it's the second week in a row. I went to Green Bay the week before. So I'm kind of getting used to these. And then, you know, the Lions opened at Ford Field the week before that. So I'm used to the empty stadiums.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
you cover the Lions. You should be used to empty stadiums.
Arizona had fans, though.
No, they had... I think they were allowed 750 people, and it was just one section, and they were family and friends of the team.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So, and I think there are a couple other stadiums that or states where that's allowed.
Yeah.
But what was weird is that the Lions played. They didn't just win; they played sort of competently. Right?
Yeah, and
they
you
played
just-
with some mental toughness.
You described it as the Patriots way, and immediately I shuddered just because I hate applying that term to this team.
No, but that point.
Okay, your editor named it that because that was the headline.
the point of the column was that the three former Patriots, I don't want to bore Mike with all this. This game's called football, Mike.
Yeah.
Trey Flowers, he's a defensive end. He lines up in the middle of the field and he tries to tackle the quarterback.
Trey
Safety
Flowers is also the name of that paint that you
Jamie
had on.
Collins is a linebacker. Deron Harmon is a safety. They all played for Bill Belichick in New England. They took upon themselves this past week to start screaming at their teammates in a positive way, film and whatever, and they tried to change the culture. They felt like they'd lacked intensity the previous 2 weeks, and they were trying to import some of that Belichickian, Elrickian magic.
I noticed they had cut the sleeves off their jerseys too. It looked like they had short sleeves.
Yeah. So, but the weird thing, Mark, I'm sure you watched the game. They showed some, like they made plays at the times when you win games. It was just kind of weird to watch.
I still think the game ball should go to Kyler Murray because he did not play his best.
No, but the reason he didn't play his best is because Matt Patricia, I want to give him credit. It's hard to give him credit. Adjusted the way the defense looked, the secondary in particular, and they confused him. And Kyler Murray's like 5 feet too tall.
Yeah.
And it was a good strategy. It's weird to say that, but
it
anyway,
worked. That's what
enough.
matters.
Yeah.
1 and 2.
I'm glad to see that Matt Patricia's not the only one who gets shitty compliments from Sean. It's like, I want to give him a compliment, but it's hard to compliment him.
Well, he's been
He's
terrible.
lost 24 games and and
Who wants to no one wants to. You can compliment him if you want.
Yeah,
Go ahead. I didn't know you loved Patricia so
But
much.
we had to give him credit because he had a great game plan and the team kind of followed through with it and they beat a good team.
I want to see him sweeping out the Clydesdales.
Good or
barns,
bad, it was a great article.
Oh, thank you, sir.
So,
well, are you talking about the one for the subscribers, or did you read the instant one too, Mark?
I subscribed, so I read that one.
I read both.
You read? Oh, Matt read both.
Both were good.
Darren, what are you working on?
Oh, this week I'm working on a subject that we were talking about today in transparency among public officials. And I'm going to also try to chase down Wayne T. Jackson, the minister who brought Donald Trump in 2016, and what he thinks or does not think about Donald Trump now.
Didn't Wayne T. have a clothing store on Gratiot too?
Yes.
Yeah.
He had a clothing store. He sold gaiters. He has been an entrepreneur for quite a while.
Now, I'm going to tell you this before Sean gets a chance to tell you this, but in my office at Fox 2, and now in a box at home,
yes, I've spent a lot of time there.
I have a pair of George Cushingberry's gaiters that were given to me by the bank that foreclosed on one of his houses. So if anybody wants an extra large pair of gray gaiters, come see me. I can hook you up.
That might fit me.
Darren, I would have offered them to you, but I have to tell you, there's Cush had a little foot odor problem.
Gross.
So,
were you able to track down? Was it Wayne T. Jackson? Were you able to track him down?
I haven't been able to track him down yet, but hopefully I'll be able to get to him and get his answers on Donald Trump and
that's interesting.
And what he thinks now versus what he did, 4 years ago, because he became a public figure nationally for bringing him in, doing an interview, and also giving one of the invocations at the inauguration. So it would be very interesting to see, given what has happened over the last 4 years, what Wayne T. thinks about Donald Trump.
Sure. Wow.
That's great, Darren.
So if you want to catch up with Sean's work, Darren's work, occasionally I chip in at the Free Press. You can go to freep.com. We would appreciate it if you subscribe to support the work of contributing columnist Darren Nichols, occasionally contributing columnist Sean Windsor, and then even less often contributing your old pal ML Elric.
You're always everybody's old pal.
Well, I try and be everybody's friend.
Why not just pal?
Because I'm getting older. I'm like the Will Rogers of the East Side. I never met a man I didn't chase when they wouldn't call me back. That's
like Kilpatrick.
Howdy doody.
It's like, where's the bell? That's two. There we go. And before we go, I just wanted to say to the 24 people or so who watched St. Ambrose's Oyster Fest live streaming in the rain last night, thanks for watching. It was an honor to MC the 30th annual fundraiser for St. Ambrose Church, a institution on the east side that does a lot of good things for the community and for our souls. And I did recently cancel my Sirius XM subscription, and the only thing besides listening to the Drew and Mike podcast that's been getting me through is listening to 89.1 FM WPHS Exile Radio from, I believe it's Warren Consolidated High School. It's a great station. It's got some really good music, and I think there's some cool people working on it. So if you're sort of in that I-94, I-696 corridor, check out 89.1 FM. I think that's it. Anything left? Or are we going to get into this pie?
Yes, let's just do that.
Yeah.
Darren and Matt,
this is why I want to be in the studio.
I'm going to have an extra slice for both of you guys.
There you go. I need some pie.
And I'm gonna pour a beer on the ground for my homies, and then have some pie for each of you. So I will observe all the protocols. You have been listening to ML Soul of Detroit on the Red Shovel Network. Please support our fellow shows: Charlie the Duff's No BS News Hour, No Filter Sports with Eli, Denny, and Bob, and the Drew and Mike podcast. We appreciate your support. Please subscribe. Please share. Please tell your friends about us. Please rate us. Please call us. Please berate us. Send us an email. Just let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what we can do better. And in the meantime, we're just going to get the hell out of here. So, Cyrus, take us out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
When we began opening this vault nearly 2 hours ago, we had no real idea what we'd find inside. As it turns out, we haven't found very much, at least not yet. In any case, I think that Gilly entered to Rich, a legend a half century old or so has been resolved. I don't know if we've gone far enough. I mean, we found the other wall over there. There may be more to be discovered, maybe not. We found the secret tunnel. We found the hidden stairways. We found the other private spaces. We talked to a lot of people, older people whose memories I think would have otherwise been forever lost if it wasn't for this program. It seems, at least up to now, that we've struck out with the vault. I'm disappointed about that, as I'm sure you are. This is one time in my life that pot of gold would have been a lot more fun than chasing the rainbows. In any case, you get a wide shot. Show my team here. They work their hearts out. Come on there, guys. What can I say? I'm sorry. I want to thank my buddies here for doing the job. Thank you for watching. I promised all the critics that if we didn't find anything, I'd sing a song. So,
Detroit.
That's Hovland Town. All right, I'm going. I'll see you. Good night. I'm sorry. See you next time. Take it easy. On State Street, that great street, I just want to say.
I really reached my breaking point after I made that jump to heroin, and I just knew if I didn't make a change, I would ultimately lose my life. I was passing by a police department, and I just made the split-second decision to walk in. The police officer greeted me, Hope Not handcuffs arrived, and saved my life.
The first step doesn't need to be the hardest. Let us help guide you to recovery. Go to HopeNotHandcuffs.com to learn more.